Hi to my grade 8 students. How are you doing? Does everybody feeling great today? Well, I hope so. So to start with our lesson, for those who need a review for the basic structure of an atom, so let's start with this question. Okay, so which of the following particle is found outside the nucleus? Is it electron, neutron, protons, or a combination of an electron and neutron? Okay, so you know that the center of the atoms is known as the nucleus. So you have the protons and the electrons. So outside the nucleus are the electrons. So electrons orbiting the nucleus and electrons forming the electron clouds that surrounds the nucleus. So atoms usually is an empty space. So going back to the question, which do you think is the right answer? Okay. So the right answer for this question is letter A, electrons. Okay. So today, our topic is the structure of atom. So we are going to discuss the structure of atoms or the subatomic of atoms. So we are going to find out what are those. Now, we have here some process questions. So as we go through with our discussion, then you have to try to answer these questions. So what makes things up? How can you describe the size of an atom? Do you think humans are made up of atoms? How small is an electron? Okay. So if you are going to pick your choice, what do you want to eat? So you have to choose in this picture which one you have to pick first. Now, as soon as you have picked, so how did you arrange the food? What are your bases? Are these foods just delicious or nutritious? If they were nutritious, what do you think are the components of these foods? What do you think are these food made of? So you have to answer that later, no, as we go on through with our discussion. Now, what is an atomos? What are the atomic subparticles? How did chemists make their proposed model of the subatomic particles? And what makes substance differ from each other? Okay. Now, we are going to define first what is an atom for you to really understand the basic structure of an atom. Okay. So, an atom is the basic unit of an element. An atom is a form of matter which may not be further broken down using any chemical means. An atom is the smallest particle of matter that can take part in chemical reaction. So atom is a very, very small in size. Remember that. So atomos means uncut, indivisible, a part or particle considered to be an irreducible constituent of a specified system. Okay, that is what you mean by atomos. Okay, class. We all know that matter is very much important in discussing the structure of atoms. Why? You know that matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. And remember that all matter is made of atoms. So, atoms are definitely the building blocks of matter. So, sort of how bricks are the building blocks of houses. So, without these atoms, then there is no building block of matter, right? Okay, so we also have to know the different atomic theory of the different scientists. So, for John Dalton, he says that all matter is made up of atoms. Atoms of an element are identical. So, each element has different atoms. Atoms can engage in a chemical reaction. Atoms can neither be created nor be destroyed. And atoms are indivisible. So that was we have discussed, or that is what atomos mean. Atoms are indivisible. Now, for Ernest Rutherford, atomic theory, he says that atom has a positively charged central part nucleus. So we will discuss later what are those charges inside the nucleus. Now, electrons are distributed around nucleus. Mass of an atom is concentrated at nucleus is major. Okay, class. Try to take a look on this atomic theory. No? We have the planetary model of atom. And in comparison with Rutherford's atom model. So, solar system and Rutherford atoms model. So, try to compare their theory. Okay. Now, for Niels Bohr, he says that electrons orbit the nucleus like planets orbit the sun. So electron fills the orbit closest to the nucleus. Okay. So Bohr's model of atom, each orbit can hold a specific maximum numbers of electrons. So again, for Bohr's model, it says that each orbit can hold a specific maximum numbers of electrons. So as you can see that the electrons orbiting around the nucleus. So every shell of that, there is a capacity of electrons only. Now, we have to know now what is the structure of an atom. So we are going to discuss what are the structure of an atom. And we will try to find out also where they are in place and what charges they are carrying. So for the nucleus, it is found at the center of the atom. So meaning to say, it is the home of protons and the neutrons. So again, nucleus is the home of protons and neutrons. then it has a positive charge. Okay. So, for the protons, proton has a relative mass of 1. It has a positive charge. It determines the atomic number, the atomic number of the elements. Then, it is found inside the nucleus. Again, proton is found inside the nucleus. Now, how about the neutron? Okay, neutron has 0 charge, or meaning to say it is neutral. It has a relative mass of 1, and it is also found inside the nucleus. So again, proton and neutron, their home is the nucleus, okay? So always remember that proton has a positively charged, while the neutron, it has 0 charge, or it is neutral. And their home is the nucleus because they are found inside the nucleus, okay? Now, how about electron? Okay, so electron has a negative charge and it is found outside the nucleus. So, Bohr model of electrons are in specific energy level, right? It means that every energy level, there is always minimum or maximum amount of electrons that surrounds in that orbit. Okay? Now, how are proton, neutron, electron related? Okay, class. They are all related because all three make up an atom. So protons, neutrons are in the center of the atoms, which is called the nucleus. Electrons are on the outside of the nucleus, spinning around at certain distance. And look, the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. The number of protons is equal to the atomic number. And the number of protons is equal plus the number of neutrons that will give you the mass number. So see, they are all related because they are the one that really makes up the atoms. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. Now, you have here the atomic structure. So where can you find this atomic structure? So usually in the periodic table of elements, you can see there a lot of elements with their atomic number and atomic mass. Okay. So we will discuss the atomic structure. So the three subatomic particles that form an atom are what we call the atomic structure. That is why an atom can be divided into particles. And what are those? Then you have the protons, neutrons, and the electrons. Okay. So subatomic particles in any of various particles of matter that are smaller than a hydrogen atom, protons, neutrons, and electrons are subatomic particles, as are all hadrons and leptons. Okay? Okay, class. So again, atomic number is the number of protons in an atom. So, like for example, for sodium. Okay, sodium has a symbol of Na, and the atomic number is 11. So the atomic number tells you what the element is. So later, we will try to find out if the atomic number for sodium is really 11. Now, the atomic number of an element never changes. Okay? So the atomic number of an element never changes. Okay, so we have here the periodic table of elements. So we will try to find out if the atomic number of sodium is really 11. Okay, so try to see that, to look at the arrangement. As far as you know, okay, that this periodic table of elements is really arranged, no, according to their atomic number and atomic mass. So from hydrogen, 1, then you have helium with the atomic number of 2, then follows by lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, and now we have the sodium, which is the atomic number is 11. Okay? So this is how you're going to check the atomic number of an element. Okay. Now, try to look at this example. For you to be guided, which one is the atomic number and which one is the atomic mass. So, Na, symbol for an element sodium. Now, the atomic number is 11. So, try to follow the direction of the arrow. And then, you have now the atomic mass, which is 22.989. And you have here another example. For helium, of course, the atomic mass is 4. So, again, atomic mass, this is from the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. So you have just, what you have to do is just add, then you can get the atomic mass. So for the atomic number, then you have the number of protons. Okay? Again, where can you find the proton? Of course, it is inside the nucleus. What charge does it carry? Of course, it carries the positive charge. Oh. Now, we have here the portrait of an atom. So as you can see, the orbit of electron. So now you know where to find the electrons, okay? It is outside the nucleus. Now, for you to be guided in computing or in finding the atomic number, the atomic mass, and the neutron, then you have to be guided with this illustration. Okay? So, if you are given some exercises, then you can just take a look for this. Take a look on this, then you can simply calculate the number of atoms, atomic mass of that particular element. Okay. So you have here another example. So the number of protons plus the number of neutrons is called the mass number. So now, how are you going to compute the mass number of an atom? Now, for the element sodium, since it has 11 protons and 12 neutrons. So what you have to do is, again, you have to add the number of protons and the number of neutrons. And that is the mass number of that particular element. So the mass number of that particular element, which is the sodium, is 23. Okay? So the mass number is 11 plus 12. That will total to 23. Now, the mass number is the total number of particles in the nucleus. Okay, class. So given the examples on how to find out or calculate the numbers of atoms of an element, I think you can now do the exercises given to you. Okay? So class, now we see that everything is made up of tiny little particles, what we call the atoms. So the atoms are made of even smaller particles. So to name, these are the protons, electrons, and the neutrons. So they are very different from each other in many ways. So one way they are different is their charge, right? So again, proton have a positive charge, electron have a negative charge, while the neutron, it has zero or no charge at all. That is why it is also known as the neutral atom. Now, usually atoms have the same number of electrons and protons. So then the atom has no charge, it is a neutral. But if you rub things together, electrons can move from one atom to another. So some atoms get extra electrons. So they have a negative charge. Other atoms lose electrons, so they have a positive charge. So when charges are separated like this, it is called a static electricity. So if two things have different charges, of course they attract or pull towards each other. If two things have the same charge, they repel or push away from each other. So now, I hope everything is already clear to you about the structure of an atoms. Then, uh, what are the subparticles of atoms and how to calculate the mass number and, of course, the atomic number of an atom. Okay. So I just want you to study more pertaining to this topic. So that uh, when you are given activity or exercises, then you can just easily do it. So class, that would be all for today, and I hope you can visit or you can log on into our e-learning site, then try to go to the learning path and answer all the exercises that was given. So please don't miss every number because every number has its corresponding points and that is graded. Okay? So if you have any questions, then please do not hesitate to call me. I am just one call away and ready to help you and explain to you uh, whatever difficulties that you find out or you found out in our discussion. Okay, so have a blessed day. So see you next week.